Step on the gas pedal expecting a smooth surge of power, but instead your engine stumbles, hesitates, and feels like it is gasping for air. That is the classic sign of code P2009, meaning your engine computer has detected a low voltage situation in the intake manifold runner control circuit on bank 1. Think of your intake manifold as the lungs of your engine, and these runner flaps as tiny doors that constantly open and close to perfectly channel the air right into the combustion chamber. When these little doors work correctly, they create a swirling effect that mixes the air and fuel beautifully for maximum power and efficiency. But when the powertrain control module commands the actuator motor to move those flaps and the electrical feedback voltage is too low, it throws this code. Bank 1 simply tells you the problem is on the side of the engine where the number 1 cylinder lives. Before you assume the electronic actuator is completely dead, you need to check for the most common culprit, which is thick, sticky carbon buildup. Over time, crankcase vapors coat the inside of your intake manifold, and that sludge can physically jam those tiny metal flaps completely solid. The electric motor tries its hardest to move them, overloads, and the computer sees a fault. You can actually test the flaps by manually moving the linkage arm with your hand while the engine is turned off. If it feels extremely stiff or gritty, you know exactly what the problem is. If the linkage moves freely like a hot knife through butter, then your electronic solenoid has likely failed internally and needs to be replaced. You also need to look incredibly closely at the electrical connector on the actuator itself. Because it sits right on top of the hot engine, the plastic becomes incredibly brittle, and the pins inside are notorious for corroding and dropping the voltage signal. Grab your digital voltometer and verify that the actuator is actually getting its proper reference voltage and ground before you start unbolting anything. Taking your time to properly diagnose the wiring will save you from replacing an expensive intake manifold assembly when all you really had was a rubbed-through wire shorting out against the engine block.